Hello, friends. It's the 9th of June. It's a Thursday. June 9th is significant for some reason. I know that the 7th was Prince's birthday. So much was going on that day, I could hardly acknowledge his birthday. Today is someone's birthday. I'm wearing an Audra t-shirt. Some of you folks remember Brett Helm, who for a time made videos in the BC. Apparently he has moved on from the BC. I still see posts every now and then from him on Facebook. But Brett, if you happen to watch this video, I still wear your t-shirt regularly. I love it, and I love your music. With that in mind, I recently received a record from an artist who contacted me first thinking that, judging from what he's been watching, that there was a high possibility that I would like his record. So he sent me a couple of copies. And the artist's name is Gary Schwarz. He sent me a 7-inch single called I Really Like You. Gary was in a band that I have heard of called the United States of Existence. It also says that he is in the band The Jigsaw Scene as well. United States of Existence I don't have, but they were a band that got their album released on the Bam Caruso label with kind of a retro sound. A throwback to kind of freak beat mods and stuff. Anyway, I had known about that record, never had a copy. Gary was the drummer. And Gary, thanks for sending this. Thanks for signing it. You were right. I do like this, okay? He explains on the back here that the lyrics of this I Really Like You was originally a song about empowerment in regards to people with disabilities, and then he realized that the message was really universal, and so just basically says, I really like you is for everyone. And this sounds to me it's a bit of a I want to say the word lo-fi. It sounds like it's real instruments. And so it sounds like it was recorded at a home studio. It's on blue vinyl. It's a stereo mono of the song, which is an interest. There is a big difference between stereo and mono in listening to music, and I can see why you did that for this Gary. I also appreciate your note where you said if you had thought about it, you might have put a different song on the other side. For the sake of listeners who don't appreciate or are not interested in the difference between mono and stereo. But stylistically, this song is, it doesn't sound like, but it strikes me like a Todd Rundgren. It's pop. There's a kitchen sink aspect to this, which I like, which is there's a lot going on. The song changes several times. Good songwriting, you know what I'm saying, as far as verse, chorus, bridge, turnaround, all that sort of thing, keeping you engaged, keeping things moving. I like that about this. Played this several times. And it does. The sound is a bit of a it sounds like a throwback, to almost the 60s in a way. I do like it, and let's see here. Is there, if there's a website or some place you want people to be directed to, let me know. I don't see a website on here. But Gary Schwarz, I Really Like You. Chances are that some of you folks watching here would dig this, and I do need to just see what this is about. Okay, business. I'll get to it in a second. So, speaking of business, thank you, Gary. Thank you. That's what I have to say about this. I recommend it, actually. Once again, it's just my honest, feedback. I like this. I had gigs last week. I had a sellout show Saturday Night with Chemicals and Icky Blossoms. It was the bomb. It was fantastic. And I also played Sunday with Scudder. And the way that I reward myself once I make sure that I have enough money to cover the bills that are sitting right in my face is I buy a record. So I bought 2 records, and I'm going to tell you about them. The first is a used record that was a promo. Is a promo. This is not a record. This is a not so compact disc, and what we have is a sampler of songs from Up from the Dark by Dave Stewart and Barbara Gaskin on the Rykodisc label. Okay, when Rykodisc put this out, they just released it on CD, but not on vinyl in America. So this is unique, and it's a one-sided clear vinyl, 33, with 4 songs. I love the work of Dave Stewart and Barbara Gaskin. No, this is not the Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics. This is the Dave Stewart that rates in my book. This is the Dave Stewart who originally came to my attention through being in the bands Arzakel, Kahn, Egg, Hatfield in the North, National Health. Love all those bands. Have them all. Let's see if I can just grab something really right quick to show you. Egg is right here. Yeah. And let's see if I can find Hatfield right quick. Okay, I'll show this right quick. Dave Stewart, keyboardist from England. I just grabbed these Egg albums to remind folks this is his legacy. Some of the finest progressive rock in history, right here. Egg and the work of Dave Stewart. Ever since I discovered Dave Stewart, I've tried to buy anything that he plays on. Okay, Polite Force. That's what I think about Dave Stewart. So to this day, when I see stuff of his that I don't have, I have all these songs already, but I didn't have them on vinyl. I'm in a different world. The first track on here I have on vinyl as a 12-inch single. Wonderful stuff. And Barbara Gaskin, his partner in this duo, was in the folk rock band Spiral Gyra, not the American jazz rock band, but let me see if I can pull that right quick. Come on, records. Spiral Gyra. Yeah. Excuse me a second. I could have gotten ready, but I didn't. But I want to show this stuff to you anyway, if I can just pull it. Okay, it's not. Let's see. I have to find it anyway. It's going to show you that album, but wonderful addition to the collection. The other record I bought, I had to pay full price for. It's a new reissue of Rarity. As I mentioned to you, I like what they call library music, music that is used in production, movies, commercials, TV, etc. For decades, musicians of all caliber have been making what they call library music, and some of it is just fantastic. You know, a lot of it's not meant for the commercial, was not meant for the commercial market. So here's one by Piero Umiliani. He's gone under several different names because he was so prolific, and this is one where he goes under the name of Tusco, Musica di Tusco, and this is Suspense Electronica, and that's exactly what it is. It's electronic music, short vignettes created for things like television, maybe something suspenseful or science fiction. But what we have here is someone who has a large, it's a nice milky white vinyl. They say white vinyl looks kind of, well, yeah. Anyway, what you hear here is someone who is prolific, very creative, and is able to use electronics in a very descriptive manner. So this is not only a joy to listen to, but it's also a joy to study. Really happy to add this to my collection. Now, I realized that in my recent showing, I had more records out that had been played recently that I didn't get to, and I wanted to show at least one, because this sort of relates to shoegaze, although it's not shoegaze. But See Feel is a band that came out in the 90s, I believe, on the Too Pure label, and also, was it Warp Records? This is the reissue by Light in the Attic, I believe. And this is one of my favorite albums. People ask me if I like dub, and yesterday, okay, let me back up. All right, there's a dub aspect to this, but it's more spacey, psychedelic, and mind engaging for me than a lot of dub that I hear. But there's a dub quality to this, but there's also a shoegaze quality to this. I guess that's kind of how I found out about it, was through. Okay, so that's why I make the connection. But yesterday, my older sister Stephanie, I know you watch, so Stephanie, this is directly to you. Thank you. My older sister bought me a large screen TV. It arrived yesterday, and while I was setting it up, I listened to. I'm not going to run out there and grab it. I have a 2-disc set called Dubnology, basically of dub music, and listen to that while putting the TV and together, and not the table, because she got me a table too. I already had that together, but I just put the TV together and some other stuff. Okay, and I kept getting to a point where I'd flip to the next song, because Augustus Pablo and is one who stands out to me, and King Tubby. But the disc that I played didn't have their stuff on it, and it was boring me. And it was like getting to the point where it's like background music, to the point that it's like, this isn't even interesting. I'm going to skip it, okay? That came up in my mind as I thought about telling you about See Feel. So, brother, okay, a while back, I picked up a couple of records that I don't think I've talked about yet. Same situation. Made a few pennies, and so I rewarded myself. This is a garage band out of the Midwest who made one record, and it became a collector's item. One of those things where it became ridiculous, and it is ridiculous what you would pay to get an original of this. The box, out of the box, haha. And what we have here is a Midwestern band that played parties and weddings and stuff, who started to develop their own songs as well as covers. So there's a Beatle aspect to the writing, but there's also a naive aspect to it, where the songwriting is not consistent. But there are some brilliant pop moments on this album, so I do understand how this got its legendary status. But it's recorded low, not poorly, but of the time. This was made back in the 60s sometime, and made on a budget, and you can hear it. And the guys they're amateurs, they're not professionals, and that comes through too. Some of the songs, the singing is like a little over the top as far as being a kid singing, trying to sing his heart out, and it's, kind of cringeworthy. And then like the next song will be like, wow, man, that could have been written by Paul McCartney. So I was able to pick this up used. Someone had bought it from Almost Music, and it didn't trip their trigger. Thank goodness I was able to get it at a discount. Here's one I always want to find: Paul Bley records. The Paul Bley Synthesizer Show. As some of you know, he was one of the greats who we recently lost in the last year, 12 months or so. He died. Influential jazz pianist whose name is known amongst musicians more than the layman. He had a way with what you call phrasing, you know, what notes he did, what notes he played, and then even more importantly, the notes he chose not to play. He was a master at that, of understatement. And so he made a series of synthesizer records too, and this is one just excellent, just excellent. Okay, I'm gonna leave off here now. I have a very busy day here with my part-time job as well as music stuff, which is increasing. I'm happy about the music stuff increasing. My part-time job is really stressing me out. They dumped. I'm gonna say it publicly. I basically had a job dumped on me. They asked me if I could help with something. Of course, I say yes, and then it starts to arrive, and it's much bigger than I had any idea of. And they didn't, I couldn't tell by the information that. Anyway, I have to deal with that. I have to take care of it. It's about to get out of control and mess up the peace of my home. My home is like a warehouse right now of stuff from this company. I'm aware that the guy that got me the job from watching my videos. So you might be watching, and that's fine. I'm just saying, this is stress. Shit, I'm gonna hurry up and get this taken care of. But it's like it's a big challenge for me because it's asking me to do things that I don't know about, so I have to find out about. Then I have to go do them. Just want to be a simple man, an artist. Be nice if I could find a benefactor who doesn't want to enslave me. It's always been the problem with benefactors and stuff, is people, sure, they will, subsidize you as an artist, but then they think they own you, so that's why I'm like this. I don't want to be owned, I just want to live, have a good life. Last thing I want to say is political. From my perspective, everything is a complete madhouse now. Politics is so horrible that I cannot acknowledge. This whole idea of Hillary Clinton being the presumptive first woman stuff is meaningless to me, because the whole situation is so jacked and fixed, and everyone's trying to manipulate, and people are saying things before they happen, and and none of this is about fixing anything for the people. It's this game that's going on, and we're just caught in it, like being on a conveyor belt heading towards a big slicer or a big chopping block, and it's like we just have to be we're just nothing we can do about it. We're on that conveyor belt as shit falls apart, and the grand parties and people just keep feeding the illusion of their personal glories, and it's just madness. So I can't share in any sort of feeling of accomplishment or victory for Hillary Clinton. Do I think it's a historic moment for women? No. That woman don't represent women. She's sure in hell don't represent women of color. Not from my perspective. She's a selfish corporate shill, professional politician. Only slightly less reprehensible than Trump. Both of them are scum to me. And Bernie's just a politician too, but at least he has his finger on the trigger, which is the general population has no voice. The entire country is in the state of meltdown while the 0.1%, because they still have it going on, are playing things out to their favor, and we're just left, like I said before, in the backwash. That's what I see, and that's what I'm experiencing. So if you have it better and you have a good life and everything's just fine for you, well, I'm happy for you, but there's a whole lot of people like me that it ain't, and we're not being represented. And our candidates that we have to choose from, Clinton and Trump, no representation, none for the common man or woman, none. It's just abysmal, in my opinion. So notice I want to end with a smile. That's the way I want to do. We're in some horrid times, and I think that things are just going to continue to deteriorate, and attrition, and things that many people are taking for granted are going to be there and always there are falling apart, and we're not acknowledging it. And that's what I want to say. But I want to say it with love, and I want to say thank goodness that even though we're slaves of debt, we have nice toys. I can play my records. And I guess that's all it takes to keep, since we have nice toys, maybe that's what the 1% are saying. Well, you people can't complain about nothing. You have your big screen TVs. You have your porn. What are you complaining about? It's a sad world these days, people, from my perspective. Thank goodness for art.